Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Clara Rose. I am literary consultant and your host for the show, Clara Rose. If you haven't been here before, let me be the first to welcome you. Every week I talk about all of the things that are necessary to be a savvy author, or I bring you tips, tricks, tools, whatever, to help you be a more savvy entrepreneur. Sometimes I even have guests, which I always love to do, but today I don't. And on those days, I bring knowledge. So today I'm going to talk about something near and dear to my heart that's integral to the business that I run over at Rosedale Publishing, and that is the 3 phases of book creation. So this is specifically for those of you who are either in the beginning stages of creating a book, or perhaps you've been thinking about creating a book, or maybe you're one of those people who've spent the last year or 6 months or 10 years, depending on how long you've been working on it, trying to write your book. So this also is for you. This is a breakdown of the 3 steps that it takes to successfully craft a message into a book, into a manuscript that becomes a book that can be published. Either you can self-publish, you can hybrid publish, or you can find an agent who helps you get a traditional publishing contract with a big publishing house. But none of that can happen until you write a great manuscript. And all that starts with understanding the 3 phases of book creation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. If you've been with me before, welcome back, my friend. So, what is the first phase of book creation? This is the brainstorm and blueprint. And I call it the brainstorm and blueprint because that describes exactly what it is that you're going to do. So, let's break that down into the 3 pieces that are part of the brainstorm and blueprint. Number 1 is analyze. So, what I'm talking about when I say analyze is getting the information that's out on the web or out in the world about other books that are going to be just like your book. Not just like your book, but so much like your book. The things that are on the same topic. Now you might think, but Clara, my topic is unique. Nobody else has this book out there. I promise you, my friend, somebody has written something about the same topic. There's nothing new under the sun, they say. And I think that's probably true. The goal, of course, is for you to write the right book. Write the correct book. Create the book that's going to be the tool that you need it to be. So here's a good example. If you are working with entrepreneurs, perhaps, and I always use one of my own books as an example, 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business. I wrote that specifically for entrepreneurs who were in the beginning phases, the beginning piece of their journey into being an entrepreneur. So it talks about things like setting up your business structure, getting a good brand, colors, logo, all those pieces. That was specifically my target audience when I was writing that book, was the brand new beginning entrepreneur. So when I created that book, I was very purposeful about what else is out there in the marketplace for those same people that I'm trying to reach. And then how is it that I'm going to say it differently? How am I going to be unique? How am I going to stand out, make it different than every other book on the topic out there in the world? So I took the time to analyze the book so that I created the right book, the right tool for the job that I wanted it to do. That's what I'm talking about when I say analyze. Take the time, don't make assumptions, do the research. Find out who's out there, how are they saying it, how am I going to stand out in the masses? Okay, once we've analyzed our idea for our manuscript, we're going to move on to brainstorming. Now, if you're one of those people who have already completely written a manuscript or you're halfway through your manuscript, please don't skip this part. I think it's just as important for you. You're going to learn if you're headed in the right direction or not. Brainstorming is just what it sounds like. It's a brain dump. All of the information that you want to go in your book, all your main topic ideas that you want to show up in your final book, this is where we're going to get all of those gathered up. So you may have been thinking about this book for a long time, and you might have notebooks, you might have little scraps of paper, you might have, who knows, however you kept track. Some people will show up to work on their book, and our very first meeting, they'll pull out a tape recorder. They'll have like hours and hours and hours of audio recorded notes because that's what works well for them for capturing it. Of course, we can't do anything with it in audio form. We can't do anything with it if it's on sticky notes, right? Or on your computer. We have to gather all those things together in a digital way so we can work with them. So that brainstorming is just capturing all of your ideas, wherever they live, wherever you've been storing them, capture all those ideas so we can do something with it. That's just our brainstorming. Now, of course, I have over the years perfected something that I like to use. You could use the same idea if you'd like. I like poster board paper. I stick a big old piece of poster board on a wall or a big old whiteboard, and I start brainstorming there. I'm visual in that way. It works for me. But whatever works for you, that's okay. All right, then we're going to move on to blueprinting. And a blueprint is literally just the outline of the structure for your manuscript. I really just mean getting them in an order that makes sense. For some people, it's going to be chronological, right? That just makes sense. If you're telling a story that starts when you're young and ends when you're old, or starts when you started a job and ends when you retired, it's chronological and it only will make sense if it's chronological. Those who are not doing something that needs to be chronological may choose to be thematic. So outlining your structure using a theme also works. You just need to do it in such a way that it makes sense for your potential reader. That's a mapping process. So we're going to map out from start to finish everything that you need to do so that your book ultimately makes sense to your reader. It's not about you, it's about your reader and the message that you're trying to get out to the world. So that's phase one of book creation. That's like foundational stuff. So consider it like a foundation for a house. It's the very, very first thing you're going to do before you start construction, right? Get that foundation laid. And that's exactly what this is. The brainstorming blueprint is the foundation to a successfully crafted manuscript. Okay. Phew, that sounded like a lot of work, didn't it? So that was phase one. Let's talk about phase two. It's the least favorite phase for everybody. It's always exciting in the beginning because you're beginning a new journey. And then the last phase, when you actually get to hold a book in your hand, those are the exciting, fun things, right? But the middle section is called create and correct. And this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time when we're creating a book, right? We actually have to create the book and then it needs to be corrected. So there are also 3 steps in create and correct, and it starts with writing. So I often say, put your butt in the seat and just start writing. This is best done on a scheduled basis. For me, it's easy to just say it's on my calendar, so I'm going to do it. So I always recommend that to people. But I have had authors work with me who they write once a week, and that's fine. They sit down for several hours. It's a time that works well for them, and that's completely fine. I personally find consistency of daily writing to be more effective for me. Whatever works for you is what's going to make the most sense for you. But nothing can happen until you start the writing process. You actually have to put words on paper. Makes sense, right? This is where we're going to spend a bulk of our time when we're creating a book. And then, of course, editing. Everybody needs an editor. Sometimes people will ask me, Clara, do you have an editor? Like, absolutely, I have editors. I have more than one editor. In fact, all professional writers have multiple editors. And there's a reason for that. We always think that we wrote one thing, whether we did or not. So when we reread it, we think we read what we think we wrote, not what we actually wrote. That's another reason for the cooling period. If you've heard that terminology before, it's writing something and then you set it aside to cool. It's a term used in the industry. Just means put it aside so you kind of forget what you wrote. So when you pick it up and look at it again, you're more apt to actually read what you wrote, not what you just think that you wrote. But everyone needs an editor. Important piece. So whether you have a friend editing, you have a writing group that you share chapters so you can edit, or you hire a professional editor, which is, of course, always my recommendation. Somebody needs to edit behind you so that it's clean, crisp, clear, and makes sense to your reader, right? We don't want to put something out there that isn't good quality. Remember, we're trying to create a tool that's going to do something for us. Okay, and then finally in the create and correct, we're down to formatting. Now, formatting is super important. If you've seen my show before, you've followed me on social media, or you know me in person, you have heard me talk about the importance of good formatting. A well-formatted manuscript makes for a beautiful book. A poorly formatted manuscript feels awkward and clunky and hard to read simply because the formatting's poor, not because the content isn't amazing, because it might be amazing. But a lot of people can't get past the awkwardness of how it looks and how it feels. So make sure that you're using standard formatting when you're formatting your manuscript for publication. If you're working with an editor, they are going to give you some tips around that. Often editors will also recommend formatters. Some editors, like myself, actually offer formatting services as well. You want it to be clean and crisp, look good. The spacing needs to be right. Your pages have to be justified. There's just some basic rules of publishing that always, always apply. If you don't follow them, then at worst, someone's going to go, wow, this is terribly formatted. But at best, someone's going to go, oh, this was awkward and felt weird and looked unprofessional. And neither of those are a good thing. So formatting is super important. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but make sure that that is a part of what it is you're doing in the create and correct. Okay, so once we actually have a well formatted, beautiful manuscript that we're done with, front matter's done, back matter's done, all the pieces are in place, now we're ready to publish. We're actually ready to move on to the part where everyone wants to get to. From the first day that I meet with a new client, it's like, when are we publishing? That's like, when can this come out? When will this be live? Because they're so excited to get to the finished final product. What most people don't realize going in is that a well done book is going to take time. I like to say it's like having a baby. It's like being pregnant. It takes about 9 months to cook it up if you're doing it right. That's the goal. Sometimes people can get it done a little quicker. Sometimes people take a little longer, and that's okay. I have had a client, it took us 18 months to finish her book because she's super busy. Time was limited for her, and it just took longer. And that's okay. We still got it done. It was a bestseller. Everybody's happy. All right, now let's talk about publish and promote. That's that final phase that everyone's so anxious to get to. After all the hard work is done, this is where the payoff comes in. And the publish and promote is really about understanding your publishing options, number one, and then getting it out to the world. So let's talk about your publishing options for a minute. I kind of talked about it briefly a few minutes ago when I said whether you're going to self-publish or hybrid publish or traditional publish, but what do those things actually mean? Self-publishing is just what it sounds like. It's you doing all the work to get your book published and out to the world. Now, there's a bunch of tools out there to help you do that. Amazon has one, which is KDP, BookBaby, Ingram Spark. There's a bunch of them out there. And you literally do all the work yourself. You take your final formatted document and you go load it into their software. You're responsible 100% for all of the pieces, that it's formatted correctly, that your cover size and all the pieces of your cover are correct, your ISBN and barcode are in the correct placement. All of the registration for all those things is all done by you personally. So the upside to self-publishing is, while there's a steep learning curve, if you can figure it out for yourself, it can be done with a minimal cost. Unfortunately, there are a bunch of books out there that are not great because someone thought, I'm just going to do this myself. And they did indeed. And you just don't have a great outcome from it. Not to say that you can't have a great outcome from a self-published book. So don't send me any nasty emails saying that that's not true, because there are some out there. But I'm just saying that in general, getting a professional to help you ensures that you don't make some of the big mistakes that some self-published authors will make. So that's self-publishing. Hybrid publishing is definitely the middle of the road and more affordable than most options. Hybrid publishing is kind of what it sounds like. It's a mix between self-publishing and traditional standard publishing with a book publisher. The real upside to it is that in hybrid publishing, you have somebody to help you get your book published, so you can avoid some of the mistakes that come along with self-publishing often. But you also have the ability to call your own shots, right? Somebody is going to hold your hand and help you, but you get to make some of your own decisions. So there's a big benefit there. Nobody telling you that your cover can't be pink if you want it to be pink. Nobody totally rewriting things because they didn't think it was sellable. So it's a middle of the road. You're going to pay for services for someone to help you with that, but you own as much control as possible over your work and still had someone to help you. Now, another side to most hybrid publishing, not all, I've seen a few that are different, but most of them, that you keep all of your own royalties on the back end. And that, my friend, is gold. That's where you make the money with your book. When you can hold on to the retail profit as much as possible, instead of just earning royalties like traditional publishing, then your book can also bring in revenue, not just be a tool for your business or ministry or cause or brand, whatever you're creating it for. It also can be a stream of revenue for you as well. Okay, so hybrid publishing is obviously the way I think you should go, but some people dream of traditional publishing. And of course, there are a few circumstances where I recommend traditional publishing. One of those would be a full color manuscript. If it's full cover, coffee table type book, it's going to be expensive for you to do on your own, and a traditional publisher will absorb all of those costs. So here's the thing about traditional publishing. Most publishers do not accept direct submission. And direct submission simply means somebody like you or me, an author, wrote a book and sent it to them directly. They only work through agents. So if you don't have a literary agent, then you need to work on finding you a literary agent. Find the right genre that your book is going to be in, and then get an introduction or send a query letter so that you can end up with an agent to represent you. And then the agent goes to their sources, which is traditional publishing houses, and the agent gets a contract for you. Now, the big downside, of course, is that the traditional publishing house gets the biggest piece of the pie. And then your agent gets a piece of the pie. And then you, the author, gets the last tiny little royalty that comes out the bottom. Now, if it's a bestseller and it's a really big hit, you can still make really great money. If it's not, you may not ever see much in the way of royalties. That's the reality of traditional publishing. And in fact, many authors never ever get a literary agent. So, getting someone to believe in your work and take you on as a client is a challenge when you want to go traditional publishing. But of course, that's an option if that's your dream. Okay, now beyond that, beyond the publishing piece, another big important part, remember there's two words there, publish and promote. Let's talk about how you're going to promote your book. Getting your book out to the world so that people know you exist. It's like, the if you build it, they will come phrase just doesn't apply when it comes to your book. Just because you write an amazing book does not mean that it's going to fly off the shelves. People are going to find it like magically. That just isn't the way that it works. Remember, I talked about there's so many books out there in the world. There's a plethora, right? Go jump on Amazon and look at their book section, or stop into Barnes and Noble or Books a Million if they're still out there, and look and wander through their books. There's just so many books out there, right? You're just a little fish in a big ocean. So you can't just put your book out there and expect that the world's just going to find it and fall in love with it. You need to have a strategy or a plan for promoting your book and getting it out to the world. Now, clients that I work with, we have a written plan. So I suggest that you sit down if you're not going to use a literary consultant like myself, or hire someone to help you in some way, or have a literary agent. Then you're going to need a plan, a written plan of how you're going to get your book out to the world. It can be things like book signings that you set up, having a Facebook page, or having a one page website where you can sell your book. Maybe you have a YouTube channel and you're going to promote it on your YouTube channel. All of the ways that you could get it out to the world. Maybe you want to have your own show, like my show. Then hook up with my producer and he can help you put together your own show. However, you're going to get your book out to the world so that your message can make a difference. Create a written plan to make that happen, because, my friend, it's not just going to happen on its own. And then, of course, ongoing sales also don't just happen on their own. You need a plan for ongoing sales. Think about things like perhaps creating a series. Series are wonderful because they build upon the other book. So one book comes out, and then pretty soon, oh, look, she's got another book out, or he's got another book out. They build on themselves, right? Oh, another book coming out. I've got to check this one out as well. Other things you can do is find radio shows. Anybody in media, I guarantee 100% they are looking for content. Every day when you go live on your podcast, the radio, the television station, wherever you are, doing a show, you want content. You need content. It's the lifeblood of your show. So they are always looking for, who can I talk to? Who can I interview? What exciting, cool new thing can I put out to my audience? And your book, my friend, can be one of those things. So look for places where people are talking and see if you can't get on their show. See if you can't get an interview. Maybe your local paper would like to know that you have published a book. You can do a press release and release it to your local news station, release to your local paper. If you're a chiropractor, is a great example. You chiropractors have a wonderful monthly association magazine that they can get. Get in the magazine, find out where your audience is, and go speak to them wherever they're at. Show up and talk about your book. And then this is an often overlooked one because people, especially in the beginning, are nervous about giving up some of their profits, right? Giving up, oh, I don't want to give my book away. But I promise you, giving your book away is a great way to get attention. You can get attention from the right people, and that can be very strategically, that can be powerful for getting your book out there. So look for places where you might leave a copy of your book, a local doctor's office, somewhere people are sitting waiting for an appointment. Just pop in and say, hey, can I leave a copy of my book here? Maybe take a copy and send it to your favorite influencer and say, I just wanted to gift you with this. Or, your pastor, or wherever. People who know people will help you sell your book. All that can just be part of a strategy for getting your book out to the world. I say this all the time: strategic focus, intentional action. Be intentional about an action plan for getting your book out there to sell it to the world. So there you have it, the 3 phases of book creation. We start in the beginning with the brainstorm and blueprint because we want a good, solid foundation for our book. And then we're going to live in the create and correct phase until our manuscript is written and lovely, clean, tight, grammatically correct, without spelling errors, and formatted beautifully so that your book looks amazing. And then, of course, publish and promote. Getting the right publishing option for you as an author, getting your book out into the world, and then a plan to sell, 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 so that you're not sitting there with a book that's not doing anything. So there you have it. I hope that you feel like you've learned something about the book creation process and the 3 phases, what it's going to take to get from idea that you have floating around in your head to an actual published book. It can sound overwhelming, but I promise you, if you just go step by step, it's easy enough to do. I also highly recommend that you hire someone to help you. And of course, that is what I do. If you're interested, you can drop me a line at hello@clararose.com, or you can pop over to clararose.com, of course, and have a look at the brand new Savvy Author membership class that is rolling out soon. I'm just going to say soon because the date keeps getting pushed back from technical issues, but very soon in the next couple of weeks, it will be live and you can join the Savvy Author membership. Now, let me tell you why the Savvy Author membership is a great option for most people. The Savvy Author membership is the first of its kind to actually give you all of the tools to walk you through the three phases of book creation. So, from idea to published, everything you need to know is right there. And then, of course, you have the benefit of a literary consultant, myself, who's been doing this for many years, to guide you every step of the way. Someone that you can call on and ask questions, someone to give you resources, someone to help you with each of these steps. Each of these phases takes time. Each of these phases has little things that you might not know on your own. And even if you researched for ever, you may never know them. So I just want to encourage you to at least hop on over to clararose.com and have a look and see if the Savvy Author membership might be for you. I would love to have you join us in this class. We meet weekly for accountability, and then everything you need to know happens right there in the membership. And then, of course, if you need help beyond just the monthly membership, we are always there to assist you as you move forward to getting your message out to the world. After all, that's what we're all dreaming of when we dream of putting our book out there, getting our message out to the world so we can make a difference in the world around us. Thank you so much for showing up once again to listen to what I have to say. And I hope that today you really walked away with some solid stuff that you can take and say, yes, I know that I can make myself a published author just by following these easy steps. And of course, if you need more help, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. All right, my friends, I'm out of time. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Take care.